Well, I was talking with my office mate at Belfast City Hall, Pam Chase, who is the General Assistance Director. We were bemoaning the fact that it seems like the safety net to help needy people is getting smaller and smaller. But she said to me that I should meet Ashley Sorrentino, who has set up a project on her own, and it has been developing and is helping a lot of people. And so I thought I would investigate. So I came out here to on the Smart Road and met with Ashley, and here we are. And tell me a little bit about what it is that you have here.
My husband and I run a community clothing shed. So what we do is we provide free clothing to anyone in need. No financial guidelines. Basically, people come to us with a need. Whether it be clothing, shoes, toiletry items, whatever the case may be, and we try to help fill them. We take on donations from the community that they would normally bring to other places that may turn a profit on items.
Are we talking Goodwill?
We are talking Goodwill. Unfortunately, needless to
Why?
say,
Why beat around the bush?
I do love the Goodwill. I am a fellow Goodwill shopper, but a lot of people don't even have the resources in order to afford the Goodwill. So needless to say, we started this endeavor about 5 years ago, providing free clothing to anyone in need.
So what, a lot of people are aware maybe of that their needs in the community. This is a big effort on your part, isn't it?
It is. I spend roughly 4 hours a day between sorting, putting into the shed itself, washing clothes if need be, delivering to families that don't have transportation, picking up from families who would like to donate who don't have transportation. It's a nonstop, full-time job, truly.
So why did you decide you wanted to do this?
Well, we are a single family income, and when my daughter was born, it was obvious that it was very difficult to clothe our children. In addition to the fact that I knew that there were a lot of families that were struggling just like us, just basically just clothing in its own, let alone food, housing, all of the above. So I figured if I could help take one small thing out of the equation, it would help immensely. And I never even realized that it would get to this point. We serve roughly 12 families on off season, which is, between seasons, so to speak.
What do you mean by seasons? Like between spring and summer and fall,
right,
like the 4 seasons?
Yep.
Or depends if you consider mud season.
Right, true story, absolutely. So basically, school season.
Okay.
This time of year, I serve anywhere between 2 dozen to 3 dozen families a week. And off season, which would be between seasons, midsummer and whatnot, about 12 families a week.
So when you say you serve them, how do they know about you in the first place? Is it mostly word of mouth? Or I assume that since Pam Chase, the General Assistance Director, knew a lot about you, she probably has helped send people your way, huh?
Yes, absolutely. I work closely with Broadreach, Waldo County Head Start. I work with Sweetser. So whenever there is a need from them directly, they come to me. Their caseworkers come here and take what they need for their clients. In addition to the fact I run a Facebook page. Social media. So it's called Waldo County Area Families Helping Families. That's kind of where it all stemmed from, was people would put their, it was a website designed so people could post their needs. And it's a free or trade site only. So no money exchanged ever. If there's somebody who needs something, they post their needs. And if there's somebody that has something, they can post it online, that they have it to benefit others. But very, very adamant that there's no money exchanged and that you are to never sell the items that you receive either.
So how important is social media as part of the equation for you?
It's a huge part. It definitely helps spread the word of what I did. I don't think I would be nearly as busy if it wasn't for that. I do a lot of contacts through social media, so people contact me in addition to on the phone, but they contact me through social media to set up appointments and for pickups, drop-offs, so on and so forth.
But do you find that that even needy families have access to the internet and are able to get in touch with you?
It appears so, absolutely. It hasn't stopped a lot of people, and I think ultimately having a cell phone is like having shoes on your feet these days. Most people, even if they don't have a roof over their head, has a cell phone,
Yeah.
for a lifeline. So needless to say, and of course with the government phones that have access to the internet and so on and so forth, there's a lot of families that may not have the financial means to, to provide for other things, but they have the ability to get in touch with me through social media.
Mhm.
So
Well, find it interesting that you say you help like 12 families.
mhm.
I usually, when I think about like a store, you think of like helping one person, but you deal mostly with like group families.
I do. A large majority of it is, low-income families, or not even necessarily low income, but could be just families that are having a hard month. That
Hmm.
fall in that gray zone of making too much to get any sort of assistance, but not making enough to survive. So, needless to say, a lot of families come here who have 2, 3, 4, 6, 8, 12 children and need clothing. So, needless to say, a lot of people leave here with trash bags of clothing, to suffice their families. So,
Mm. So, um, has it been easy for you to keep up the stock of stuff that people need, or do you run low?
when I run low, I post on social media that I'm running low on a specific size, and usually the community is really good about getting together and helping me help others with those specific sizes. But I usually have a pretty good stock of the majority of items. The only place I seem to lack hugely is men's items.
Mhm.
And I think it's just because men have a hard time letting go of their things. So,
Also, we have a much more limited wardrobe usually.
absolutely, definitely, most definitely.
So, how does it then the process work? Now we're standing in front of uh, what part of your process, but there's more to it to what you do than this place. Tell me about the process of getting from clothes coming in to clothes going out.
Sure. People bring to me their items. A lot of times I'll go to town and run errands and come home and I'll have a yard full of bags of clothing.
And do you
Um,
want it all nice and washed and pressed, or
I
how do you?
well, I would prefer it at least be clean, stain-free, hole-free. Basically, the way that I look at things is I wouldn't put it on my family, it doesn't go in the shed. So if it has holes, immense staining, or anything to that effect, I do send it off for recycling.
Mhm.
The Goodwill, which gets a majority of my
The
the
stuff
the
that's not up to snuff?
right, because they recycle them.
Yeah.
And I also work closely with Beacon of Hope Ministries up on the Patterson Hill Road. So anything that I have huge overstock of that I cannot house goes there. And what they do is they sell for very inexpensively, and the sales of the items go to support their food pantry. So it's kind of a win-win-win all the way around. So people bring to me their items that they no longer need. I sort through them. I put them on hangers, put them in the shed, and then people come and take them. So it's a pretty simplistic process, but it is very time consuming.
Hmm. Now, you mentioned to me that you recently got some support from a new local business, basically.
I did. On Process Technologies supported about half of the the finances to build our new space. This space here is where we had started, which was donated by another member of the community. So I worked out of this space for about a year and a half.
Hmm.
Started fundraising the later part of last summer. We did a field day in Searsport, which raised some money. And then On Process decided that they wanted to help as well. So they supported the shed in addition to the Austin Grant Fund, and that's out of Unity. Beacon of Hope Ministries also supplied some money to help build this as well. And then also there was a few private donors, which wanted to be unnamed,
Right.
who had helped with the financials of it.
Well, that's really wonderful. I can only imagine that you must get a really warm and fuzzy feeling when there's a really needy family that comes to you and you're able to help them out.
Absolutely. Just last week there was a couple of little boys that came, and I have a soft spot for little boys. So they had come and they were jumping up and down with excitement over a pair of shoes, and that leaves me knowing that what I'm doing is it's a beautiful thing. It really is. Sorry. It's a hard thing. I was brought up in a family where my parents didn't have didn't have the financial means. There was three of us. Didn't have the financial means to support
All your
nice
needs.
nice shoes,
Right.
or new clothes, or even we were wearing hand-me-downs from 10 years past, and that's what they could do, which is fine. But I want to be able to make sure that kids aren't picked on for the clothing that they're wearing at school. I want to give them equal opportunity. So
So it seems like part of this is your memories of your youth and the struggles that you had with clothing is that helped motivate you to want to do this. Do you feel that the need that what you're doing is meeting the need of the community, or is there a lot more demand than there is for clothing?
I'm sure that I'm touching just a small portion of it. I don't know if I had mentioned this earlier, but the need has grown over the years that I've done this. When I first started doing this, it was, maybe a half a dozen families a week, on the high end, on the
Yeah.
peak season, and now, like I said, it's 30. If
Wow.
not more, sometimes. And what I do is I do half-hour private appointments for families to come and shop. So they come, I give them a half an hour block. They can take whatever they need, and it's based on a need basis. I don't police people as to what they take. I let it be in their minds, as far as what they feel like they need, because some people need more than others. Some people may just need a couple of pairs of pants to get them through until they get their next paycheck. But others may need an entire wardrobe because they've lost their home to fire.
Oh
So.
my gosh, yeah. And then there's people like my daughter who feels that she needs everything.
Right, of course. And please let your daughter know she's welcome to bring items here once she outgrows them, and I'm happy to help her rehome them. So,
So, the best way for people to get in touch with you is through Facebook.
I actually prefer by phone.
Okay.
I do.
So I'll put the number. Is it okay if I put the number on the
Oh,
screen
of
here
course,
so they can
absolutely.
contact you if people out? And also, if people want to donate, do
Mhm.
you want them to call you as well, or?
Absolutely. If they could give me a call, we can either set up a time that they can bring items by. I also do not mind if people just bring by their lightly used clothing, shoes, and outerwear in good condition.
Mhm.
Like I said, I prefer them clean. It just saves me a lot on my laundry
Yeah.
bill.
Well, it's funny because all along because my kids are 14, 13 and 14
Mhm.
right now, so clearly they've grown a lot over the years and they have gone through a lot of clothing, and we just automatically drop stuff off at Goodwill. We
Sure.
just think of that. For one thing, it's you drive by it all the time on Route
Hmm.
3. You're here out on 27 Smart Road, which is a little you have to make a little bit of an effort to get here.
Absolutely.
But I think in terms of like really helping people out, it's worth it. I think we'll try to see if we can, bring clothes here now
Excellent. Thank
because
you.
it does seem to me like, the fact that you're giving the clothing away to really needy people is just fantastic. And I've just heard through the community that what you're doing is really, really making a big difference here.
I'm so
Uh,
happy to hear that. That's very heartwarming. Thank you.
So, do you like to be at this scale, or would you like to be bigger or smaller?
Well, ultimately, if it helped pay the bills, I would love to go larger. I would love to be able to, make this my full-time job. But of course, as I mentioned before, we're a one-income family. So this is kind of something I do as a side job, so to speak,
Right.
unpaid. I have thought about becoming a nonprofit and
Mhm.
going larger scale.
Mhm.
But of course, with a nonprofit status, you have to get your finances in order to do that. It costs money to become a nonprofit, as
Mhm.
crazy as that may sound. So,
Well, maybe there are people out there who really believe, after seeing what we're doing, that they could help you out. I know, for instance, I was able when we started our community television station to to have a senior community service employee that we got for free who worked for us to actually spend about 3 months of her time of her 6 month time with us to develop our nonprofit status.
mhm.
And then we also were able to get a local lawyer to look over what she did, and we were able to do it quite reasonably. And of course, when you have that status, it opens some opportunities for
It
us for
does.
grants and things that we might
Absolutely.
not have as individuals been able to do before. So I'm hopeful that maybe that's something that can help you in the future,
Thank you.
because it sounds like if that there might be you need to have a grant to pay you because you're giving things away for free, right?
Sure, right, absolutely.
Well, it's really wonderful to see what you're doing here, and I am hopeful that there are people who were not familiar, like I wasn't familiar with what you were doing, learning about what you're doing, and may be in contact with you.
All right, thank you so much.